Hey everyone, and welcome to the video. As you can see, I don't need an alarm clock in the mornings as I get woken up by my cat who's asking to be fed. She's still so adorable though, so I don't complain about this at all. I do enjoy my morning routines, and I'm usually quite good at getting up in the mornings. After feeding the cat, I usually go for a workout. Usually it's a heavy weight session in the gym, either near my home or in the office. Or if I'm not feeling up for that, I usually go for a quick run. Then I take a shower and just get ready for the day. I don't always have to wear a suit to work, but on this day I had a meeting with some very senior execs, so I thought I'd dress the part. In terms of the suit, it's a navy pinstripe with a white dress shirt and some pagoda cufflinks. For breakfast, I like to change it up, and it's usually some sort of high protein thing. In this case, it's a bagel with some peanut butter and honey, just because I like a bit of sweet stuff in the morning. I take multivitamins to supplement my diet, and I usually wash this down with a glass of water. It's always good to hydrate first thing in the morning. If I can, I'll sit at home and have my breakfast whilst checking my phone for messages from students or other business. I sometimes like to read the FT in the morning as well, just to get up to speed on the news. Say goodbye to the missus and I'm off to work. As it's the UK, it's always almost raining. My commute's not too far, and I jump on the DLR, which takes me to Canary Wharf. I get to my desk and the working day begins. So for the rest of the working day, I'm usually sat at my desk, or I'm in meeting rooms, or I'm running around the bank just trying to speak to different people. Sometimes I'm on Zoom calls as well. So every day is a bit different, and that's what I really enjoy about my job in terms of having a variety of things to do, and no 2 days are really the same, as cliched as that saying is. So what do I actually do as a project manager at a bank? First of all, let me break down how a bank works. So typically you have the front office divisions, things like sales and trading, investment banking, research, asset and wealth management. These are the guys who face clients and are directly bringing in revenue from institutions or corporates or individuals. You can sort of think of the front office as the face of the bank. They face clients, they are the first layer in terms of the interaction with the outside world, with the clients, and they bring in money to the bank. But there's a whole other group of departments and infrastructure areas which are typically labeled as the middle or back office. These are the areas that support the front office. So things like risk, things like legal, things like compliance, finance, technology, operations, and a whole other set of divisions that support the business model, support the operations of the bank, and make sure that the front office can do what they do. So if the front office is the face of the bank, the rest of the functions like risk, legal, compliance, technology, operations, finance, so on and so forth, form the other parts of the body, and they all work to help the face deal with clients and bring in the money. Now, without the middle or back office people, the front office can't function, so the infrastructure areas are really important to a bank. Now, my role is unique in that I work cross-divisionally across all of these areas, whether it's the front office, the middle office, or the back office, and I'm almost sort of a standalone function as a project management office within the bank. Now, what do I mean when I say projects? Projects are usually one-off, and they arise because of a need to improve a certain area of a bank. For example, maybe technology wants to implement a new tool or software throughout the bank to make things more efficient, or maybe it's legal and compliance who want to achieve regulatory compliance with a new piece of regulation that has just come out in the UK. So projects are one-off and they are short-term and they have an end date in mind. This is a contrast to anything else that is what we call business as usual or BAU activity. So that's the stuff that the bank does on a day-to-day basis, like facing their clients, performing trades, clearing trades, and all the operations and finance activity that goes around that. So my experience in projects and delivering projects, supervising them and making sure that the right people, the right stakeholders are engaged, comes from my background in management consulting, where I was before I joined the bank. So consultants help their clients, such as banks, to deliver these projects, which could be around enhancing a part of their business, or similarly to deliver a piece of compliance, or implementing something that will help to improve the overall business model. So my role in the bank is somewhat similar to that of a consultant, in which I help to supervise projects, help to bring people together to get things implemented, and to make sure that everything is coordinated so that projects do get delivered and do achieve the benefits for the bank. Now, this is a fairly unique role in that we're quite a small team, and we work cross-divisionally, and we answer to sort of the most senior stakeholders at the bank. And we are central as well, which means we don't actually deliver anything ourselves. We help projects within the bank get done, and we help bring people together from different divisions to make sure that those things get done. And we also perform a certain layer of governance, which is kind of like a middleman between the firm's decision makers and people who actually deliver the projects. So I think my role is actually pretty interesting in that I get to generalize and not get tied into one specific area. I'm always constantly working on different stuff, which again is sort of similar to my career in consulting before I joined the bank. But I get to focus on just the stakeholders within my organization and developing those relationships over a long time. Whereas before in consulting, I would jump from different client to different client and sometimes maybe generalize just a bit too much. So what are some of my day-to-day things that I'll be doing? I could be running working groups involving stakeholders from different divisions, different functions, getting them to talk to each other, getting them to solve problems, identifying what those problems are across the whole project, making sure that milestones, which are sort of checkpoints in the project where things should get delivered, are met. If they don't get met, what are some of the risks, issues that we need to mitigate as a bank, as an organization, and also get senior stakeholders visibility of progress. So there's a fair amount of presentations that we have to prepare, things that go to very senior boards, going to like stakeholders who sit very high up in the bank, for them to review and challenge and comment on progress that's been made on these projects. So for anyone's looking to join consulting or perhaps a business analyst sort of role like what I'm doing, I can really recommend it, and I recommend also financial services as a sector in which to do that, because it really is very diverse and interesting. There's a lot of work and a lot of departments that exist within the bank where you can get involved in so many different types of work, and there's always something going on. Large organizations like investment banks have to keep up with the market. They have to keep up with the regulatory landscape. And so there's always bits and pieces of projects springing up that that's interesting to get involved in, and to also have that big picture across the organization, like what I'm doing across a portfolio of multiple projects. For lunch, I usually bring a lunch in just because it's more cost effective and I want to know what's going into my diet. But on this case, I decided to treat myself to a poke bowl at a nearby shop in Canary Wharf. The rest of the working day was quite standard, and I spent the rest of it in meetings and at my desk just working on more project stuff. I did go out for a bit later on in the afternoon to treat myself to a crosstown donut, which I love, and also a cup of coffee that was not from the coffee machine at the office. And so that concludes a day in the life of a project manager at an investment bank. I hope you enjoyed this video, or at least found it mildly entertaining. Stay subscribed for more.